Welcome to Ravens Across the Pond, your place for everything Baltimore Ravens. From a fresh, European perspective. Plenty of laughs, plenty of piss-taking, and of course, questionable insights. Sit back, relax, grab a beer, and enjoy the show.
We're back, gents, with another episode of your favourite Ravens Across the Pond podcast. Joining me tonight, Nathan, DT, Dickie. What's happening, guys?
How we doing?
The playoffs start now.
Indeed. We've been saying that since fucking October. It's a big one. Tonight we've got a lot to get through. Possibly going over a 90-minute episode with the amount we've got to talk about and get off our chests. Of course, Monday Night Football. Is it Monday Night Football, or have I just fucked that up?
It's a Sunday night. Well,
Sunday.
Depending on your time zone.
Right.
Yeah,
Sunday
Monday
night
morning
prime time.
football in the UK against the New England Patriots. So we've got a lot to get through tonight. So coming up on tonight's show on Ravens Across the Pond, we have got Patriots preview. We'll break down what we think is going to happen in the game. Undoubtedly, get it totally fucking wrong. As always, our successful section of Ravens Patriots score predictions. Again, guaranteed to be a destination. If you want to go and find some clips where we look like idiots, head there after the record. We're going to go back down the years, have a look at the Ravens and Patriots rivalry. There's been some wonderful games. There's been some not so wonderful games for the Ravens during this. Nathan's back with Fantasy Flock Up. He's going to talk us through his top 5 and who deserves a bourbon this week. And of course, in accordance with our sponsors, Stacked, we've got the Stacked Parlay of the weekend where we put our selections forward. We'll put them in a parlay and hopefully win some money. And then to round off, we've got the usual pub chat on our long episodes. Darts theme this week. Doesn't take Poirot to work out why. So, guys, play the Patriots this week. What are we thinking? For me, it's a winnable game. Well, and I'll get into that shortly once you've all had your views on where this game can be won or lost. What are we thinking? I always enjoy playing the Patriots because of the storied rivalry, especially in the early 2010s and even the late 2000s. What are we thinking then, guys?
I think it's a winnable game, as you say. I suppose, well, we know what the position is, don't we? The Ravens players and coaches know what the position is. It's effective. It feels win or go home, doesn't it? And I think it's a shame that we are where we are, that we can't effectively drop a match. But I have confidence. I think the defense really showed up last week. I think with Lamar Jackson, the offense always can produce a moment of magic. If we want to be Super Bowl contenders, it's a game that we should be winning. And yeah, I feel reasonably confident.
It's a game where you have to ignore the records. The Patriots, whilst 11-3, have faced a little bit of a soft schedule. Not so impressive wins. They came up against the Bills last time around. Looked like they had it in the bag and then had an almost the collapse worthy of Baltimore in recent seasons. But I think New England pose an interesting threat. They've got a very good offense. I think Drake May is a top 3 MVP candidate this year. Probably not my favorite to get it. I think Matt Stafford probably still gets it, but Drake May, Travion Henderson's really breaking out now. Stephon Diggs is a problem at receiver alongside Hunter Henry as well. They've got lots of good attacking options. It's going to be a big test for the defense, I think. On their defense, they were a bit soft against the Bills. Didn't really defend the run very well. Obviously got beat through the air in what was a bit of a cold weather game, so passing wasn't as good as it normally was. Ultimately, I think, given the nature of the game and how must-win it is, that we'll come out and fight just as hard as we did against the Bengals. And I think we've got enough in our locker to take it. It's just a case of kind of what happens on the day. But yeah, it's a must-win game, and they'll play like it is.
It's interesting, DT, because this is not only is it a must-win game for the Ravens, the Patriots can be bearing in mind how results go. They can clinch this weekend. In regard to Patriot, this game I think is going to be won and lost on the Patriot. You look at last week. Joe Burrow went 7-15, 18 cutbacks against the group. You look at Drake May. He is in the conversation for the NFL MVP, and he's a dangerous scrambler. However, he's been sacked 43 times this season. It's the fourth most in the league. Coincidentally, Draymond Jones has one of them. A week 7 sack. Tennessee got beat. Is it a case of if the trio of Tavius Brown, hang on, no, cock that up. Tavius Robinson, Draymond Jones, and Travis Jones get going, Drake May could have some serious issues on his hands.
Yeah, I think that's a big opportunity for us. I think we showed up last game out against the Bengals, and I think the Bengals themselves are a big passing team. We managed to obviously hold them, as we know. That's where the game's going to be won or lost. I think is if our defense can really restrict that, get the pressure on that we know it can do. It's not done it as well this year, but it's possible to at least get pressures on there, if not sacks. So if we can do that and we can provide good coverage, yes, Drake May's got some good weapons out there that you can throw to, but our secondary and our kind of mid-range has shown that we can hold players, and get all over them. So I think that's kind of where we need to be focused on, and I think it's going to be a big game for Zach Orr personally.
I mean, when you look at, and we've mentioned it pretty much every single episode about the Ravens defense, they don't kind of boast lofty rankings, do they? The pretty much slap bang middle of the league average on defense. The 16th in points, 8th on third down. A lot of those stats, granted, are possibly going to be are definitely going to be weighed down by the fact that we started the season 1-5. You look at what's happened in the recent weeks. We've got 13 takeaways since the bye week. Obviously, we've gone 6-2, and the defense has been a lot more aggressive. I think, obviously, we rank 7th in the league in playing man coverage and 6th in playing single high safety. But the pressure numbers are still lagging behind. According to Next Gen Stats, we're 29th in the pressure rate. Is this a case of where we could see maybe we adopt a similar tactic to what the Bills did and play 2 high safeties? Or do we do what we usually do and May could have a chance to reignite the passing game, especially if the New England Patriots pass protection forces the Ravens to employ more blitzers?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how we line up on that with the safety options, particularly with having more options now, as we've discussed a few times, with players back from injury. Obviously, based on the time of this record, we don't know what the practices look like today. I know yesterday, obviously, Awuzie didn't practice with his injury, the foot injury he had. So if we're going out there with just kind of Marlon and Wiggins as our cornerbacks, it'd be interesting to see what we do in those kind of deep safeties. But like we've said earlier, there's not just the deep ball that May can be dangerous with. So players like Hamilton are going to be key in this. players like, my favourite and the player that I've always backed, Gilman, are going to be a key part of this too, I think.
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Where I don't think that we've been able to really generate any kind of consistent pressure with a 4-man rush, and therefore I don't think it matters what you do on the back end. I think if we were to drop the 2 high safeties and try and be passive without a consistent rush, then Drake May will be able to pick an open man. He'll have all the time in the world he needs to throw. So I probably wouldn't expect us to do that. I think Zach Orr has been deep in his bag, trying to produce some exotic blitzes to find some pressure, and I would just expect that to continue.
Yeah, I think another thing that you can't discount is Sunday night football. It looks like it's going to be about -3 degrees in Baltimore, or late 30s for the American audience in Fahrenheit. There you go, nailed that.
I'll time you nailed something.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see passing not be as key in this game. In fact, you'd probably try and invite the pass a little bit like we tried to do with the Bengals, get them throwing it, try and see if these Patriots receivers have got good hands. We might see a lot of bounce outs, maybe potentials for a couple of tip picks. I would expect the Patriots to lean quite heavily on Travion Henderson, which they tried to do against the Bills, and it went very well for Travion Henderson. He's a big home run hitting kind of running back, but if they want Travion Henderson to be like a 20 carry a game guy in against us, I don't think that's going to end up going particularly well. So maybe expect to see more of a kind of the dink and dunk kind of little shovel passes to receivers. I wouldn't expect to see a lot of big plays. So I think the Baltimore Ravens should plan defense accordingly for that. And I think it'll be a very similar style game to the Bengals in terms of what kind of passing you see.
This is the thing though with the Patriots this year under Mike Vrabel. They have had an awful lot of big plays at the right time. Harbaugh mentioned that earlier on in the week, and that is something that we need to watch out for. Just on the Ravens offense, I mentioned before we came on air, I think on defense, if the pass rush is there, if the trio that I mentioned get going, that is a way that we are going to win the game. Another way I believe we're going to win the game is get Derrick Henry going, get the rush going. Mike Vrabel needs no introduction to the King, obviously being his head coach at Tennessee. Derrick Henry rushed last week for 100 yards. That was his 5th 100-yard game this season. 6.3 yards per attempt over his last 3 games. So the Pats and Mike Vrabel understand what they're getting coming up against Derrick Henry. On the flip side, the Pats' run defense is loosened up. It was solid at the start of the year. They gave up 168 rushing yards to the Bills at the weekend. That was their 5th straight game. They've allowed 100+ rushing yards. Earlier in the season, they were ranked number 2 in run stop win rate. But in the recent form has made them drop down to 11th. Obviously, they've still got defensive tackle Milton Williams on IR. Linebacker Robert Spillane is still out with a foot injury. So if New England can't find a way to stop the rush, obviously we know it's not just going to be Derrick Henry. DT will be hoping for some snaps for Keaton Mitchell. But yeah, and as you say, Nathan, with the weather, we are going to see an awful lot of rushing plays.
Yeah, and as you said, they didn't do very well stopping James Cook. He went for about, I think it was 4.9 yards a carry, well over 102 yards. So if you can't stop James Cook, no disrespect to James Cook, he's doing very well on a lot of my fantasy teams this year, but he's not Derrick Henry. And if Derrick Henry starts to get going, you're not going to be able to stop him. And I imagine, given the success of the passing game we've had with Ali, especially last week, I'd expect to see him in a couple of snaps as well. So Yeah, I think the running backs are going to be very important, whether it's straight run plays or kind of little quick pass plays to get onto the outside to kind of test this New England defense. But,
Well,
you know,
it seems that Ali has really stepped into the third down role, obviously vacated by Justice Hill after his injury. They clearly trust him more than the other two in pass protection. And that's going to get you snaps, and that's going to get you paid in the NFL. I suppose in terms of the running game, we need to. We've obviously spoken about the defense, but the aspect of clock control that a successful running game would give us is going to be really important, I think. And obviously getting ahead of the chains. We need to be getting sort of 4 to 5 yards on first down in the run game, and not putting Lamar in those kind of third and long situations where we don't trust the O-line to hold up in pass protection.
Yeah, that running game is interesting, and I'd like to see us not be afraid to use it, even if we are behind. It's like I said last time, we get the running game works, and then suddenly we're behind, and we don't use it because we want to catch up quickly and we want to get ahead and then be able to control the clock. But if the passing game's not working, we have to go to the running game, and that's kind of key for us. I think what I'd like to see is a bit more confusion tactics on there, in the sense of, shall we get Henry and Mitchell in on plays? Let's give them a couple of things to think about. They got Henry in there. They're thinking, right, Henry's going to run at us, because this season Lamar's not doing the job of Lamar confusing them by having the ball, or is Henry going to have the ball? We've got to try and plan for both of them. Well, if you put Mitchell in there with Henry, then there's a lot to kind of try and plan for there. So that kind of thing helps us to open up their line a bit and create some lanes. And that's kind of what I want to see this year, whether it be, even with Ali, for example, a little pass over the top to Ali if you've got Henry in there as well. It could be a little screen pass, but just something like that, some more inventive plays where there's multiple backs allowed, just to provide a little bit of extra things for them to think about from a defensive perspective, I think is where we can really kind of hurt them.
Are you predicting a Derrick Henry touchdown pass to Rasheen Ali?
To Keaton Mitchell, obviously not. I don't.
Oh, three running backs.
It's going to be a Derrick Henry pass to Rasheen Ali. Then Rasheen Ali's going to just hand it off to Keaton Mitchell, who runs faster than him. It'll be like Gilman and Van Noy last week, but on the offensive side this time.
There you go, Todd. We know you're listening. Draw it up.
Yeah, the hurricane. This is whatever this is.
With the Pats, obviously we've seen how well that they've performed this year. I've always liked Mike Vrabel as a head coach, and I just thought him going back to New England was the perfect fit. Like, in boxing, they say styles make fights. Like, just that, him and New England just go. And I don't think it's just because he was an ex-player for them, but New England Patriots now in the position where obviously they can clinch the playoffs this week. A win or a tie against the Ravens, or a Colts or Texans loss or tie gets them into the playoffs. However, we saw last week a 3-score lead that they blew against Buffalo. Are they at the point of the season now where standings wise they look excellent? They look like a well-rounded team. Are we at the point of the season now where the pressure's here now? You're playing. And football's meaningful all year round, but you're getting down to the nitty gritty now. You're in the trenches. Is this where the Pats could be found out?
I think they're having a better year than they probably would have put themselves in at the start. I think they're probably a year ahead of the schedule in terms of getting to where they would want to be. I think 11-3 has probably surprised some people, and a lot of that is down to playing a very washed up AFC East outside of the Bills and some other kind of soft games. But yeah, so when they've been hit in the mouth, they haven't really seemed to have a lot to come back from that. But if they've learned from last week, and I'm sure Mike Vrabel has got a lot of lessons to teach his team after last week. Mike Vrabel does not like to lose. He's historically coached very well against the Baltimore Ravens in games as well. So I think he kind of knows what to expect out of us. But I think, the Pats are going well. If I can think about AFC contenders, I probably wouldn't have them in my top 2 at the moment. I think a lot of it is the schedule they faced. But yeah, I think they're ahead of where they would want to be at this stage. They've got the wins. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win the AFC East. So if they can, obviously I don't expect them to win this game against Baltimore either. But I think they're probably still, even though they're 11-3, I would back them to probably come in via the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Tom.
No, go ahead, Richard. It's all right, mate. Cut me off.
Well, I think you cut me off, in fairness.
I don't think it is.
Well, let's see what the highway code says about that. No, I mean...
What were you going to say, Rich?
To jump in on your question...
Rich,
I
go ahead and say what you're going to say, mate.
I just think any
Yeah,
given
Rich,
Sunday,
go on, Rich.
it's any given Sunday in the NFL, any team can beat anyone else. I think with the nature of their loss last week, I think they're more dangerous. They'll probably be smarting from that loss, wanting to make a few points. So yeah, as to whether they can be exposed or not, I'm not sure. I think if we're off our game, they'll be able to exploit that, and vice versa.
I think if the Ravens don't let the game get away from them too much and going into that fourth quarter, seeing, going back and watching the tape from last week, that the Ravens players would have seen what happened there against the Bills. I just think that kind of what Nathan alluded to, that the year ahead of schedule, nobody expected. Everyone expects Mike Vrabel to go in and there to be an improvement, because let's face it, it wasn't going to be hard to improve on what the Pats have been in recent years. But just last week, just when it got to that winning moment, trying to get across the line, there was no crisp tackling from the Pats defense. There was missed assignments. There was poor decision making on the back end of drives. So if they don't change that, number one, the Ravens are good enough to exploit that. Lamar Jackson is good enough to exploit that. The wide receiving core are good enough to exploit that. It is hard to imagine a Patriots win if the Pats aren't playing their best football in the fourth quarter. The Ravens will know, look, if we're a score down, even 2 scores down here in the fourth quarter, if we can get a stop on defense, they'll win the game.
And that's what we need to see. That's where we need the defense and the defensive leaders to say, if we happen to be behind, they can step up and be like, look, game's not over, guys. We're absolutely still in this. We've seen they can carry on being aggressive when we're winning and when we're having a great time, like last week. But if we're behind, that's when we still need to be like, we're still in this. Let's go. Let's do this. Like, we know they can be got at even when they're comfortably in front, like we saw against the Bills last week. So, yeah, our defense need to really understand the power of this game and that it's not over till it's over.
Quarterbacks. Which quarterback's under the most pressure going into this game? Drake May, Lamar Jackson. You look at Drake May last week, struggled, didn't get, couldn't find his rhythm. His accuracy dropped to 60.9% completion rate. That was his second lowest of the season. 155 passing yards, his lowest output of the season. Obviously, going up against the secondary, it's full of experienced playmakers. Kyle Hamilton, who, as we know, can play all over the fucking place. Like, I'm a firm believer in 75% of the globe is covered by Kyle Hamilton. The rest is covered by water. If he can, we've seen, I think Hunter Henry's got 5 touchdowns this year for the Pats. Drake May, obviously favours targeting his tight ends. We've seen that this season. Kyle Hamilton's got a huge part to play in this game. If he can disrupt the tight end group and get into them, then, I obviously, with what I've said there about his stats and how he's performed last week, I think he's under more pressure. They're not as a mature team as the Ravens are. He's not as a mature quarterback as Lamar Jackson is. And I think with clinching the playoffs on the line, I think Drake May's under the most amount of pressure this weekend.
I agree with everything you said, but I've come up with the complete opposite outcome. Drake May is Drake May is comfortably probably second or third in MVP rankings. If they don't win this game, they actually finish up against the Jets and Dolphins. So even if they don't win today, they've still got a very easy path to the playoffs. I think all the pressure's on Lamar. If we lose this game and it's close, people aren't going to be like, oh, what about that one player defender could have made? No, the media is going to be all over Lamar. This is Lamar's game. All the injuries, is he still 100%? Are we all doing the right thing by Lamar? Lamar's, I think, just... And also, we're down to the window of like how many more years are we going to get to do this with the cap, with all the people that we can currently have in the team, with people that need to be paid. We've probably got like 1 or 2 years left with this current roster. I think he has to be under more pressure than Drake May. Drake May's window is wide open. Lamar Jackson's window, while it's not closing anytime soon, it's certainly closing probably with the staff that's around him and probably some of the players. And I just can't see a world where, and also if we lose, we're probably going home. I think all of the variables point towards this is like Lamar's biggest game of the year. It's the Ravens' biggest game of the year. For the Patriots, it's we can afford to drop this one if we do and then win the next 2 when we're in.
Yeah, I think I agree with Nathan in terms of Lamar being under more pressure, just because he's not been himself this season. And actually, in the last game, we've seen him start to get back towards it. Got a passing touchdown last week, which is more than he's done the previous 3 games. He needs to continue that to get us to the playoffs, and that's where really it's like, are you the leader of this team? Can you take everyone on their back? You've got rid of your ping pong tables as a leader. Can you deliver it on the field now? And can you actually bring us into a must-win game, win it in a comfortable way? He's not out this week through injury. He's run out of body parts that you can designate as injuries, so he's down as illness this week, which is just Lamar's classic December.
Yeah,
had a bit of a sniffle and some dodgy food. Toe illness. Yeah. I
wonder whether we'll see him running off mid-game to go for the fucking Barry White.
When he comes back and he absolutely dominates when he does that. So fantastic if we see that, But this is it. Like, it's now a time where, okay, he was looking more dangerous last week. Can he prove everyone that he's still the same player? He's still got that same danger in him. His legs can still do magic. It's going to cause them issues because they're not preparing for it. And then actually that panics our future oppositions for the last 2 weeks. It's going to have the Packers panic. It's going to have Steelers panic because suddenly they've got more they've got to account for that they've not seen this year. So I think this is the game where Lamar suddenly starts to draw the attention back onto himself and panic the future opponents.
Can I just say what a gang of absolute gobshites you are? And you know why? Because I've changed it now. You can visibly see it on the screen. I don't know what team name I had up on there, but
the New England Patriots.
Well, we're very
the Patriots in a pear tree.
I seen it, and I was like, "Oh, can I edit that now?" And I was like, "The fucking gang of knobheads haven't told me, and I look like a knobhead." Viewers,
we did tell you to check your phone.
We're an inclusive
chat.
Oh, hang on, my phone's on Do Not Disturb.
Like about 20 minutes ago.
We included
it out loud.
When you're planning on taking over, you can't have your phone on loud.
Not loud. Mine's all here, ready to go. If anyone's got a note.
Thought we'll damage limitation. We won't tell you that there's a massive glaring spelling mistake on the visuals of this podcast.
I don't
For the audio listeners, they wouldn't know what was going on. But now you draw attention to it, everyone knows.
Yeah, I don't think half the visual watchers would have seen either.
Here we go.
Sorry to those at home where we've had a complete breakdown in just podcast etiquette.
Whilst we're talking about correcting errors and being a teacher, Richard, who do you think is under more pressure?
Hang
on, disclaimer. Dan's eye set the studio up. I've just corrected the spelling mistake, and he's not here to deny that either.
Oh wow! Throw him under the bus, why don't you?
The future graphic is going to be all over the place if he set them up. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, from a obviously an NFL point of view, who's under the most pressure is clearly anybody connected to the Ravens organization. If we were to miss the playoffs in a year where the Bengals have lost Joe Burrow for a considerable number of weeks, been less than stellar even with him, in a year where the Steelers aren't the force that they are, the force that we might expect, not winning the division, I think that would lead to some really tough conversations at the castle, or indeed Steve Biscotti's Caribbean retreat.
Thanks for that. The question back is under the most amount of pressure.
Indeed, the Ravens organization.
Yes, the quarterback, also known as the Ravens organization.
Is he our third choice behind Rush?
Honest,
And with the
Oh.
32nd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Ravens select quarterback,
The Ravens
the Ravens
organization.
organization.
Well, no, it's obvious I mean Lamar Jackson because I said the Ravens organization. So clearly you must understand from that I mean Lamar Jackson.
Well,
go on, Dickie.
No, you know what? Hands up. You caught me not listening again.
Listen.
Oh, wow. Let's just cut the last 10 minutes of this.
We're sure Richard didn't do the banners on this.
Look, before we go on to the Ravens Patriots score predictions, we mentioned there a couple of times, a few of us, about the fact that New England can clinch the playoffs this weekend. The Ravens can also be out of the playoffs. DT, though, there is an interesting scenario that is coming over the hill. If the Ravens beat the Pats on Sunday Night Football, doesn't matter what happens against Green Bay, does it? Because they'll just got to go and beat the Steelers.
If the Ravens beat the Pats and Steelers lose to the Lions, then it means next week's result is absolutely irrelevant. We can lose to Green Bay, that we can beat Green Bay. Doesn't matter whatsoever because we still have to beat the Steelers to get.
Can you just do them jazz hands again? Just the way you went.
Yes, that's the one for the preview image this week. So the big debate that we've had, I've seen quite a lot of people talking about this over on socials. What do we do next week? If that scenario happens, and obviously it's hypothetical, but if we beat the Patriots, Steelers lose to the Lions, do we rest people? Given the injuries we've had all season, given there's a lot of players, this week we've got, 10 players as of yesterday that weren't practicing or limited. Some obviously key names in terms of Van Noy, Stanley, Smith, Lamar, Bateman, Awuzie, people that have been struggling with injuries, whether it be coming back from injury or just niggling injuries. Do we think about sitting a lot of people and resting that game? Or do we still go all out and ride the momentum and try and get in there? Richard, were you paying attention? Do you want to field your thoughts on that one first?
Yeah,
I don't know whether he was whistling.
It's a difficult one. It feels like if you have a player where you are genuinely kind of worried about them, sit them, because it's not a must-win game. But I'm broadly in favour of keeping the momentum, keeping everybody rolling, if at all possible. I wouldn't be sitting people just because I want them to have a little rest. For me, it'd have to feel like there's a genuine medical case to be sitting them.
Interesting. The other angle with it as well that we haven't necessarily considered as well is that we could plan for worst case scenario as well. So if we end up losing to the Steelers in that last game, but we beat the Packers, then we'll have a worse draft pick. If we lose to the Packers and we throw that game, then worst case scenario, we lose to Steelers, but we get a better draft pick. That's another potentially interesting angle to think about. I don't necessarily think that's a Ravens angle. I don't think we would purposely throw a game for that kind of reason. It's not necessarily what I see from the organization and playing like a Raven. But there's a positive to it if we end up losing it. And obviously we get a losing record and John Harbaugh looks shit and everyone gets what they want finally. So
I mean, in regards to if the Ravens win on Sunday, and obviously the Steelers lose to the Lions, and the Green Bay game, it's like standing wise is irrelevant. I agree with that. Yeah, standing wise, and what happens then for the rest of the season, it all comes down to the game against the Steelers. I do understand that. However, the Ravens are a bit like the England Test side's middle order, prone to a collapse, prone to fucking bottling it at the biggest moments. And I just think win out. I said this since the bye week. It's just win out football now. Obviously, that hasn't happened, but against the Pats, get the job done against Green Bay. You know, Green Bay are going to be without Micah Parsons as well. And I think they're a very gettable organisation anyway. I don't think much of Jordan Love as a quarterback. I just don't see it. You know, other people will probably disagree and go, "What the fuck is that Scouse idiot on about again?" But fuck yeah.
So I'm still getting over your pronunciation of Micah.
Well, what did I say, Mika?
Indeed.
Like that singer. I could be down, I could be blue.
What was the other one he did? Big girls don't cry.
That was about Daniel Filoni,
yeah. And I just think you just go out and do your job. Don't leave it in other people's hands. I don't want to be going into. I don't want to be going into that Steelers game full stop. I hate playing them, especially last game of the season. But I definitely don't want to go in against them, knowing that we have to beat them to play.
Yeah,
meaningful football in January. Sorry, Rich, you trying to cut me off again there, mate? Yeah,
I was going to say, especially if that prick TJ Watt has got 2 working lungs again by the time we have to play him.
as I said in the chat the other day, the other week, he could be in an iron lung or he'd still get past Daniel Filoni. Do you know what I mean? So it is what it is. That time of the week, gents, where we all look like idiots. That's spelt right. Yeah. Ravens, Patriots score predictions. Let's go. I'm going to go because Nathan doesn't look ready. I'm going to go Nathan.
I'm ready. I was just going to ask if anyone had fact checked that tiebreaker scenario thing, because I can't quite work out the maths on that. But I think that this is going to come down to a last-minute field goal, which will help the Ravens clinch it. So in that, I'm going to go 28-27.
I think it's going to be a high scoring one. I think we're going to win by just outscoring them. I think it's going to be one of those games where the defense look great, but because of other pressures, they still give up the yards. And I reckon we're going to go 38-27 to the Ravens.
I'm going to go 21-17 to the Ravens.
Reasons why?
It's got to be something.
And that's the kind of hard-hitting analysis that Ravens across the pond bring you, folks.
It's got to be something.
I'm gonna go 35-33 Ravens.
Because it's got to be something or anything else to
I think the Ravens will get the rushing going. I think I can see Derek Henry getting over 2. I can see Keaton Mitchell getting 1. I think Zay Flowers will get a touchdown, and I just think with New England kind of figuring out who is the better rusher of the ball now as well, I just think it's going to be a fucking kind of a Russian. I was going to say a Russian orgy then, because of my accent. A rushing orgy. It's just going to be, there's going to be runs all over the field.
It's got to be something.
It's got to be something.
So yeah, guys, you can go back, clip that, and make us all look like idiots, which no one has done yet. No one has mentioned how horrific our score predictions have been.
We haven't had one, have we?
I mean, it's a hard thing to get absolutely spot on, isn't it? It's not like it's UK football where you're probably going to have a 2-1 or a 2-0. Like you've got to
Or the
factor in math,
Desmond.
which, yeah, you know, it's not necessarily an easy thing to get spot on. I think we've been okay with some of the kind of narratives behind it because, you know, it's been something, which if that's Richard's reason, then he's right every fucking week. It has been something every single game we've played this season. So Richard actually has been spot on, to be fair, in his analysis. So let's just see if it is something in the Patriots game, in which case Richard can celebrate.
Video watchers can expect to see it's got to be something on the banner next week.
Yeah. See if you can get the copyright to whatever song that lyric is in and use that. Nathan, you mentioned there about this game. You think this game is going to be won on a field goal.
Hmm.
I would like to use that to go into our next segment of down the years, the Ravens and Patriots rivalry, because a couple of games have been decided down the years on field goals.
What a segue.
Why the fuck has that disappeared now? I deleted that. No, it's there. Sorry, guys. I haven't got a job in Sky Sports in me yet. I'm getting there. It's a storied rivalry. There's been some unbelievable games. That will keep on going because I've got a 10-second timer on it. I'm just used to things popping up and going back down after 10 seconds.
It's got to be something.
Yeah, it's got to be something. I mean, that is a quote that Richard uses to describe his weekend dates. It's got to be something. Yeah, so I mean, a couple of games stand out for me. You know, Nathan, you talked about it off air. What's your favourite game from down the years?
I really enjoyed the game where Torrey Smith absolutely went off after his brother tragically died, and it was just an incredibly emotional day all around, and he just went absolutely nuts. But I think there's just plenty of good ones. I also enjoyed the AFC Championship game, 2012, not 2011, where amongst other things, Bernard Pollard absolutely wrote off Stephen Ridley for a massive turnover, and it was just the game before Joe Flacco won us the Super Bowl, and that entire playoff run was probably one of my favourite moments. 4 or 5 game run as a Ravens fan. So yeah, they've offered so much. They've obviously taken a lot away, as you said. There's been some interesting things with field goals. I'll let you deal with those.
Just on the subject of that game, the notable bit of history from that game as well. It was the first time that Tom Brady had lost at home in his career when leading at halftime. Stick that one in your top pocket for the quiz night. I doubt that'd ever come up with a quiz question in the UK, but American listeners, get it in your top pocket. Rich, favourite memory from a Pats Ravens game, or what are your memories of these games?
Not gonna lie, I sort of feel like I'm having a real mind blank. Apart from the times that we kind of lost in heartbreaking fashion, and I don't want to go into that. So I'm going to pass.
I mean, there's got to be something.
I can't get the game out of my head where we were up 14 twice and somehow conspired to lose. And I think there was some kind of trick playing Edelman through a long touchdown, and that's just replaying in my head. And I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer on the pod, and I feel like I've just been one.
No, you've got to take the rough with the
DT
smooth.
was going to crack into an impression there. You can see his bottom lip
It's
go.
so easy. Well, that's interesting. I don't know what's going on in my brain this week. I can't remember any games.
I like that DT makes me sound posh. I appreciate that.
It's got to be something.
Gotta be something.
What do I sound like then if he sounds posh?
I'm not even going to attempt a Scouse accent. Fuck me.
Go on, DT.
For me, I think I've not necessarily been a Ravens fan as long as some of you boys would say I got into it kind of 2016. So some of the historical games aren't necessarily imprinted in my mind, but what I loved was it 2019, 2020, something like that? 2019, I think it was, when we won. It was obviously Lamar's. I think it must have been his first game against Tom Brady. It was a real kind of statement in itself, and it kind of led to Tom Brady having some huge admiration for Lamar. There were some great interviews post that with Tom Brady talking about how insanely good Lamar is as a quarterback, one to watch, one for the future. And that always stuck in my mind. Everyone at the time, Tom Brady was lauded as rightly so, and that kind of praise. And there was like the images afterwards of them hugging and him being like, fair play, you absolutely smashed us, whatever. I can't remember what it was. It was a victory for us, but that in itself was just a kind of real moment for me of like, yeah, Lamar is fucking shit hot. We already knew he was, but it was like, this is long-term future for us now.
Can someone else go? I'm just doing a bit of research, sorry.
I feel like we've all been. What are you researching, Bob?
I mean, the kicking controversies over the year. So I guess
I'll be honest with you. I am just fact checking. DT.
Was it 2019? I think it was 2019. Obviously, that was early days in that season as well. I think maybe one of our earlier games that season, I feel.
It was 2018.
2018, was it? I thought it was...
where's it gone?
Well, I didn't come into the end of the 2018 season, so it would have been...
it was 2019. The Ravens were 5-2 at the time, and it was the first introduction of the Marks into the rivalry.
Right, less fact checking, more spelling. Spell checking, Tom. Thanks.
Yeah, fuck off.
Spicy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like there has been some horrendous games, some heartbreaking games. The 2011 AFC Championship game. I think that was kind of the crowning moment of the rivalry, where the rivalry kind of took it to a next level and it got a little bit tasty. If you remember, there was that late hit. I don't know whether it was a late hit, but there was a hit on tight end Todd Heap by Brandon Merriweather, which there was some controversy around that. And then, no, in fact, ignore me. That was in 2010. I am having a Western Superman here. The 2012 AFC Championship game for me, is probably my favourite moment of it, and obviously we know what that went on to lead to. The Ravens going on to beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Apart from the games, there are other great moments, and kind of now a lot of players who played in them games in the late 2000s and early 2010s. The likes of Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Tom Brady, Edelman, Gronk, even Bill Belichick, and you can see these clips online. Tom Brady used to have on his wristband "Find 20," and it was "Find Ed Reed," because and Tom Brady, as much as it pains me to say it, he's the GOAT. And for him to have that on his wristband about Ed Reed just shows the caliber of a player that Ed Reed was. Ray Lewis loved playing against it. Tom Brady would never throw to an open receiver in the middle of the field because he knew that Ray Lewis would take them out of the game. Like if it was a dead set catch and run, he wouldn't do it because he knew, Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis take out Julian Edelman in a game, and I think he broke his ribs, and Julian Edelman come round after he was like, I don't know where I am here. He was just put in another dimension.
I also just got horrible flashbacks of Tom Brady throwing a backwards pass to Julian Edelman and then him throwing an absolute bomb touchdown pass downfield to insert whoever it was. Just a horrible flashback then. Can't quite remember what game it was, but
I've just got deja vu because Richard said that about 5 minutes ago.
sorry, do you know what it was? I was getting so confused about why this week 17 game doesn't matter. I had to go I've gone deep into the lore of common tiebreakers in NFL standings. And I've worked out that it's the third tiebreaker. And it all comes down to the fact that we beat the Bears and the Steelers didn't.
I have to say,
Yeah.
it's a different experience being on the other side of the coin when someone else steals your points.
Yeah, it's got to be something, hasn't it?
There's got to be something.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to this game. We discussed there is an awful lot riding on this game, and I expect it to be a heated game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Another chapter in the Ravens New England book. I was trying to think there. I mean, my mind went blank when I said chapter. I was like, what are chapters in? Couldn't think of the word.
It's got to be something.
Yeah, it's got to be something.
That's really it's a good advertisement for public education in this country, isn't it?
It is. Right, Nathan. It's that time of the week again, mate. Let me just take that timer off there. Where we all gather round. Oh, don't show that one. And take a seat and get ready for Fantasy Flock Up.
Welcome to the Fantasy Flock Up. I'm Nathan, your resident fantasy nerd, and I'm here to bring you all the big hitters of the week and to also let you know who effed your week up on fantasy football. Enjoy the show.
So go on then, Nathan. Take it away.
If you play in a league that's not ran by absolute idiots, you will be in your first round of fantasy playoffs this week. So the league, I guess the trend for the week is people that either sunk you or kept you flying into the next round of your playoff things. I've managed to still be in with 6 leagues to go, so I'll be enjoying next week with open arms. But coming in at number 5, a guy that we've already talked about on the show, Travion Henderson, 30.1 points. He had 2 amazing long touchdown runs in the game against the Bills. 14 carries, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hopefully he won't continue this going into next week, as it will end up probably quite bad for Baltimore. But if you've got him in your fantasy lineups, then feel free to keep starting him. I anticipate another good result from him. It's his 3rd game since week 10 where he scored over 25 points. So the man's hitting form. The Patriots now understand what they've actually got in him after deciding to not really utilize him in the first few weeks of the year. So yeah, Travion Henderson, get yourself a bourbon and take a week off before doing it again. Coming in at number 4, the sun god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 41.4 points, 13 receptions, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is just absolutely flying. He's the wide receiver 3 on the year. Another man who's just so damn consistent. And Detroit have got so many weapons as well. It's incredible how they can feed all these people in that one offense where you think you've got Gibbs, you've got Jameson Williams, and you've got, like, before you went down, you had Sam Laporta as well. So it's just another incredible effort, and don't expect it to stop anytime soon. So if you've got him, enjoy your win and look forward to next week. Coming in at number 3, we've got my personal favorite fantasy player this season. I've got him in a lot of leagues, which means I've done quite well in a lot of leagues. Trey McBride, 12 receptions on 13 targets, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is a man who I wasn't overly happy with once Kyler went down and Jacoby Brissett came in. I thought, this might spell a bit of an end for Arizona receivers. All it's done is knock Marvin Harrison down into like a 2nd or even 3rd receiver spot sometimes behind Michael Wilson. Trey McBride is the tight end 1 on the year. He is just so damn reliable, and he had an absolute monster game this week, 43.4 points. Have a biscuit. Coming in at number 2 is a man we haven't really spoken about a lot in fantasies this year. He's been very consistent. He is the QB7, but doesn't have a lot of monster games. Today was one of them. 330 yards, 226 of them are air yards. The man was absolutely launching bombs downfield all day. 5 touchdowns passing, 1 touchdown rushing, which sees you get 44.3 points. If you do play with 6-point passing touchdowns, I know we have a league where we do play with 6 points. He probably scored nearly, was it Tom, you say he got into his 60s in 6-point passing touchdown leagues. So he would have gone even higher up if that was the format we were using for most of these scoring systems. But yeah, have a day. Trevor Lawrence really starting to kind of show what he can do when you surround him with a bit of talent. And Jacoby Myers has really helped out there. But only one man can be topped this week. And it's a man who broke the 50 burger mark, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, in his last 3 games, has scored 18, 18, and now 51.1. 3 touchdowns, 166 yards on the day. If you were playing against him in fantasy leagues because it was Thursday night, you woke up on Friday morning realizing that you were already out of the playoffs, which I had in 2 leagues, and it was incredibly disheartening to know that I was already out without even scoring points, because why would you have anyone else in these lineups? And Drake London was actually out anyway. So good for Kyle Pitts owners. I don't own Kyle Pitts anywhere because he's just been too disappointing and inconsistent over the years. But I've certainly felt the pain of going up against Kyle Pitts this year in fantasy playoffs. So have a biscuit, but also take one of those because you've hurt my feelings. Bourbons for everyone. Enjoy.
There we go.
Kyle Pitts got me through a semi-final.
So glad you said final there, mate. After semi. Nathan, you said there during your segment that you've been doing quite well in fantasy leagues. Just a reminder for the guys on this pod and some of our listeners who are in our Dynasty League. How did you get on
in fantasy leagues which have played a full season? Yes, I think I went 8 out of 11 in playoffs. In games where in leagues where we actually had a full season, yeah, I did exceptionally well. In games,
so what you're saying is you weren't able to draft good players, even though you've done analysis on how good all of the players have been season thus far. When it came to actually picking the best players from this season so far, you weren't able to do it. Is that?
Yeah, but when you put the work in, like I do preseason, you get to find the studs and the diamonds in the rough. We're too late into the year. You guys already all know who to pick. The value isn't there to be had anymore. And I think I still ended up scoring like the 3rd most points in that league anyway. Just the head-to-heads did me over.
Yeah, Rich got done over by the head-to-heads as well.
Indeed.
I'm glad you finished that off as well then.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ, where are we going here?
Across the pond. It's got to be something.
It has to be something. Nathan, thank you as always for your segment, even if your fantasy research has done you no good in the Traitors Dynasty League. Right, so the other week, last week we announced that we've gone into a partnership, sponsorship, however you want to call it, with Stacked, that a new bet tracking app in the UK. It is the only place for you to track your NFL bets. Not only does it track your bets, it keeps hold of them. It lets you know how you're performing on selections. A lot of betting apps in the UK don't give you kind of up-to-date stats on how your selection is going. So it's been great to partner up with them. One of the things that we're doing in regards to that is we all enjoy a bet here. The important thing to do when betting is gamble responsibly. Don't do what we do. So the new segment we've got this week is the Stacked Parlay of the weekend. So each week on our preview game show, we're going to all pick a selection each, throw it into a parlay, or for our UK listeners, an accumulator or an ACCA, and end up crying on a Sunday or early hours Monday morning when one leg, inevitably Nathan's leg lets us down. So
It's got to be someone's.
yeah, so we're gonna talk through our selections now, and then if you want to see our selection, our bet slip, our potential winnings, or our how much we're gonna lose, we'll post it on the Instagram for you tomorrow afternoon when the bet is being placed. £5 a man. All pick a selection each. There's obviously us four on here, and then in the background you've got Dan's Eye, Oliver Scribs, and who else?
Other Ollie.
And Ollie. Oh, yeah, the editor. Ollie, thank you very much. Sorry, mate. So I'll start us off. This week I'm going for Zay Flowers on the 90+ receiving yards. I think that came in about 7-2.
Nice. I'm adding a 5-1, which I think is great odds for Keaton Mitchell, 50+ yards. He's done it 2 games back to back now. That train's going to keep running. It's finally starting to hit on my bets. So I think that's fantastic odds to get into a nice little boost on an ACK of that.
Where are you going with, Rich? It's got to be something.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a tricky one for me. I haven't looked at the betting apps yet, but I think whatever Drake May's passing total is, I'm going to bet the under.
Okay, fair enough. We'll find that and we'll put that in the selection. Nathan?
Yeah, mine's also going to surround Drake May. I think the Pats...
Surround Drake May, or is going to be around Drake May?
It's surrounding Drake May. It's about him. It works. Terminology's fine.
In and around.
In and around, it's got to be something. So yeah, I think the Pats worked out last week that in cold weather games they've actually got something with Drake May rushing it. Before that game against the Bills, he'd only had 2 rushing touchdowns all year, so he doubled his total that game against the Bills. And I'd expect to see it again against the Ravens. This is a Ravens team that famously a few weeks ago allowed Aaron Rodgers to have a rushing touchdown against us. So why not Drake May? So yeah, Drake May, anytime rushing touchdown for me.
Excellent. I know Dan's Eye's gone with Tavius Robinson, a sack. Anyone can anyone remember what Scribs went for?
He was no, I can't remember properly.
Well, we'll get them up. If you want to see our selections and the other guys' selections in a bet over the weekend, we'll show you the bet slip. We'll throw a picture up of Stacked. If you haven't downloaded Stacked yet, it's available on the Google Play Store and the App Store. Give them a follow on all socials. It is a really great app. The guys are being great to us. We're working on a couple of events for the start of next season and a potential game-changing one before the start of the season, around about April time. So stay tuned. Right, it's that time of the week. Pub chat. And this week, I have gone with... I mean, it's a growing sport. It's a growing sport in the States, so this might gain a bit of traction over there. But obviously, listeners and viewers in the UK will be fully aware that it is the 2026 PDC World Darts Championship going on at the moment over Christmas and New Year. It is a staple in my house over Christmas and New Year. At the fantastic Ali Pally. Anybody ever been to Ali Pally? Well, for the darts or an event, because it's a fantastic fucking place to go.
I have not, but isn't it something like people average something like 10 pints during the dart session, which sounds like a cracking day out to me.
10 pints.
Yeah, you have to go full.
You've got to pump them up.
Full fancy dress.
Yeah. So I came up with the idea this week where we'd ask our listeners and viewers and people in the WhatsApp community and the lads on the show tonight to come up with a Ravens dart player, reasons why, and what music they would come out to. And then after that, I'm going to test their dart scoring announcing and get them to give us their best 180. So, Nathan, I know you haven't prepared for this, so I'm coming for you.
I've not even picked a Baltimore Ravens player. It's a mare. No, I'm not going to pick a Baltimore Ravens player because I'm actually going to surprise you by picking Jordan Love. It speaks for itself. The bloke has so many walk-on music options. You know, what's Love got to do with it? But I think Jordan Love would come on simply to the power of love, and I'm all for it. So yeah, I'm going to ruin your segment by not picking a Raven.
We should ruin the whole podcast. It's a Ravens Across the Pond podcast. Look, if you want to go on Cheeseheads Across the Pond, I will create that for you, and you can go on there with the rest of the other knobheads that wear cheese hats. Jesus Christ. Sorry, listeners.
Jesus
Richard,
Christ.
go on.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going to pick the Ravens organisation because it's got to be something.
I'm going to pick Charlie Kolar. I think he would be an excellent darts player as a former academic Heisman. He would be able to get his checkouts and do the quick maths that's needed. I think he would, well, sticking to the theme of love, I think he would come on to Where Is the Love? Because obviously as our third tight end, he often gets overshadowed by Andrews and Likely. Yeah, does a really great job for us week after week. And I think his nickname is really obvious and it's quite clearly the Cola Bear.
There we go.
On DT.
Right. I'm picking Marlon Humphrey. I think Marlon's personality translates fantastically to darts. I think, you know, having the love him or hate him, he'll have great trash talk. As a cornerback, obviously hand-eye coordination is key. You've got to be able to track balls. You've got to be able to do a lot with your hands, which is obviously an important thing for both Rich and darts playing. I think mostly it's just the trash talk element of it. And I think as a kind of ironic walk-in music, he's going to have Humble by Kendrick Lamar. I think it's going to be someone that just everyone loves to get behind, mainly for the personality side of things, which everyone will do after about 10 plus pints. So yeah, my pick is going to be Marlon.
Right. I'm going for a former Ravens player who I believe has the accuracy to be a darts player. He's not built, he hasn't got the body type of a darts player. As we saw last season, sometimes his accuracy veered off to the left or right. So instead of getting all three darts in the treble 20 bed, he might, you know, slip out. Nathan's trying to figure out if it is or where I'm going.
Are you going with a former kicker?
I am going with the most accurate kicker in the league. I am going for Justin Tucker. And the music he would come out to is Black Eyed Peas, Where Is the Love?
Oh, again, so we're using Where's the Love twice. We're talking about...
Well, this has gone wrong.
I mean, I guess since you've broken the we won't say his name thing, we might as well point out that Justin Tucker's actually back in the league and signed for the New York Giants.
Well, see, you jumped in front of me there because I was about to call out Bald Welsh Dean for sharing that the other day in the group. Justin Tucker had signed for the Giants. Unfortunately, it fooled absolutely everybody. It was from a parody account. So not only does Dean look like a dickhead, you look like a dickhead now as well, Nathan. That's why I mentioned Justin Tucker, because it was in the news yesterday. So yeah.
Oh,
the fake news.
Yeah. Coincidentally, talking of Bald Welsh Dean, he was one of a few guys who got in touch with their selection. So Dean has gone with Joseph the Boom Noteboom, and he would walk out to Here Comes the Boom by Nelly. Jay the Copite has come out with his darts player is Nick Moore, the long snapper. This is what he's wrote. I haven't wrote this. This is what Jay has wrote. Long snappers are built for darts, spend their entire career aiming at a target the size of a beer mat between the legs, thrives in silence, performs one precision action every 10 minutes. You can just picture him now at Ali Pali Moore steps up, 3 darts thrown before the commentator even finishes saying his name. No celebration, just calmly collects his arrows and asks the ref, is the ball regulation size? His walkout song would be "Hit Me With Your Best Shot." And then the last one.
Rich, that's how you have a reason for picking something. That's a real thought out reason there.
That wasn't just something.
It's
And regular contributor to the WhatsApp community and all round general fucko, has come out with his darts player is Michael Pierce. He's got the body of a darts player, and he's coming out to "He ain't heavy, he's my brother."
Nice.
So thank you very much, guys.
I think that would be Tony Jefferson as well.
Yeah,
That's
Rich's 180.
I can't believe he didn't check that Justin Tucker back in the league, before the pod.
I have to say the old Southwest Wales and Southwest Ravens group had a frenzied discussion about that. I think Dean could be put on some kind of naughty step for that fake news.
Oh, so a group that I'm actually in, busted the myth, and I didn't even look. Okay, great. Nice.
Active member of the community, aren't you, Nathan? There, clearly.
I did appoint myself as Lord Mayor of the chat just this morning. So.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Are we? Is this where we get to hear Rich's 180 now? Because that's what I'm. Really
Oh yeah. So obviously, I forgot about that. Yeah. So thank you guys for sending in your suggestions. Now going to test them, and you're going to have to let us know in the comments in the WhatsApp chat on YouTube who has got the best 180. It's going to be scored on volume, duration, pitch. DT, I'll excuse you for volume because I don't think anybody knows. He hasn't told anyone or put anything up on socials. DT has had a little baby, so we don't want DT getting bin bagged by his missus. So I'll excuse you on volume.
I'll just get close to the mic.
Who looks? I'm going to save the best till last because we all know who's going to be the best here. Nathan, give us your best 180.
180.
Oh, okay, no. What are we doing here? I genuinely didn't think this could stoop so low. I mean, but I'm sure we'll find deeper depths to go to down the years as we carry on. Go on, DT.
180.
Richard, wait your turn, son. Wait your turn, son. You're going last. The best to last. Nah, don't even want to do this shit.
It was your idea.
180.
Right, before I do mine, I just want to say, no matter how cringe this is not as cringeworthy as Channel 5's coverage of the NFL this year. So
it feels like it.
On that note,
quick.
180.
Why did it sound like that guy off the Goonies?
Hey, you guys. Oh my god! I mean, I know Ollie's been asking us for thumbnail pictures for YouTube. I screenshotted that just at the right time because that is fucking insane. Listeners, I'm sorry about that. Possibly should have put a disclaimer in before we did that because anyone who's listening in the car tomorrow or on the commute and has got their AirPods in is going to shit their pants listening to that. That was loud.
Any sane listener would have turned this off 20 minutes ago.
You'd think, but some of the reviews we've been getting, and but the listener retention throughout the whole duration of a podcast is phenomenal. Just a special shout out to David on YouTube from the other side of the pond who's subscribed and is enjoying the content that we put out. He's been commenting on every video. So thank you very much. Drop us if you're new to the show or you're a regular listener to the show and you haven't done it yet, make sure you give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We're on X at Ravens ATP, TikTok at Ravens Across the Pond, Insta at Ravens Across the Pond. As I say, we're available on YouTube. This podcast has been brought to you by the Across the Pond Sports Network in conjunction with our sponsors, StackBet, your number one app for NFL bet tracking in the UK. Guys,
breaking news just before we go.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Lamar Jackson, Ronnie Stanley,
Hang on. Can we do that again? Wait there. There we go.
Breaking news just before we go. Lamar Jackson, Ronnie Stanley, Bateman, Raquan Smith, and Carl Van Noy all back at practice in the run-up to Sunday's game. So it looks like we're going to have a clean bill of health after yesterday's slightly worrying injury report. Thank you, Ollie, for the chat message on WhatsApp.
Thank you very much, Ollie. So, yeah, as I was saying, podcast was brought to you by the Across the Pond Sport Network in conjunction with our sponsors, Stacked, your number one place for NFL bet tracking, available on the Google Play Store and App Store on Apple. We've been Ravens Across the Pond. I've been Thomas. They've been Nathan, Dickie, and DT. It's been absolute fucking chaos. Apologise for absolutely nothing. The double podcast host does what the fuck he wants. We're not here to take part. We're here to take over. We'll catch you on the next one. I'll see you later, guys.
Till next time.
It's got to be something.
Thanks for listening to Ravens Across the Pond. We'll see you next time.